And one of these solutions that is proposed by some politicians is to introduce elections of judges in Poland. So my question is, what do you think about this system? Because often the United States is brought as an example of the system where in some states you have these elections.
So let me start with the prosecutors. I absolutely agree that the prosecutors are an important building block of the entire justice system. As I understand the legislation which has been enacted with reference to prosecutors basically eliminates any kind of prosecutorial discretion because it gives the government the ability to counteract any decision that a prosecutor makes. So in the US, prosecutorial discretion is considered a very important component. They're the ones looking at the facts. They have the right to decide charges are appropriate or charges are not appropriate. And if they decide charges are not appropriate, no politician can intervene and say, no, no, you have to bring charges. It doesn't matter that you don't believe there are facts that support it. So we absolutely are against this legislation that politicizes the ability of prosecutors to make independent judgments. So, as to your second point, which was, the election of judges. So in the United States, we have two different systems. We have a federal system, and the federal system from the time of the Constitution has lifetime appointments of judges. And it was believed that by letting a judge have a lifetime appointment, you were insulating them from politics. If somebody didn't like a decision, you couldn't say, I'm going to vote you out of office the next time. Many states have historically had election of judges. Most of the states are going against that system today. In fact, the American Bar Association is in favor of doing away with the election of judges. Why? Because judges are not allowed to have opinions on political issues. So when they run for election, on what basis are the citizens voting? In the United States, we found very often when people are asked to vote about judges, they have no information other than the name. They are reacting, they like the name, they like the fact that it's a woman, they like the fact that it's an African American or an Asian or a Caucasian. They're not voting on the merits of that person because they don't know anything about that person. So we are in favor of what we call retention elections, which is a group of lawyers, Bar Association representatives, experts, put together a slate of acceptable nominees. The governor in the state then makes the decision based on this limited slate. So the slate is theoretically not political because it's been selected by the local bar. And these people are all have been found to be competent, appropriate expertise, appropriate integrity to be considered. Then the governor gets to select one. The idea of retention elections is every 6 years or so, the public gets to vote up or down to keep them or to get rid of them. But it is not a competitive election, like if you have two members of parliament running against each other. The whole focus is how do you maintain the independence of that judicial candidate? Because it's our view that you should not be voting for a judge based on how you think they're going to rule in a particular case. So anything that we can do to minimize the politicization of a judicial election, that's what the ABA is supportive of. So I would certainly not recommend that as a better alternative. There are ways to depoliticize the process without opening it up to pure election. Because then you have, how do they pay for it? Are they soliciting campaign contributions? What are they promising to the citizens that they're going to do once they become judge? It's all political and it's all bad.